Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Reservations. I am Jeremy Blair.
And I'm Rain Wayland.
And man, okay, this one, if I'm remembering correctly, is we're done pretending the 100th didn't happen, right?
Yeah, we're
Okay, good.
yeah.
Okay, good. Hope you enjoyed it.
We have now caught up in real time.
Okay, we're caught up. Okay, cool.
So before we get into it, dude, we saw No Time to Die last night.
We did see No Time to Die last night.
The James Bond movie that was supposed to come out last year, but you know.
The posters still say November.
Yeah. But dude, that was rad.
It was rad. It was better than Spectre, which is good. Which you know what? They did it. They maintained the pattern.
Yes. Well, it's because of the fabulous direction of Cary Fukunaga.
Yep.
If anyone out there hasn't watched Maniac, turn us off right now. Hop on Netflix. It's like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Watch Maniac. It is fantastic.
First season True Detective.
Yeah. He didn't do the other two?
Yeah.
Really?
No, Nick he wrote all of them,
but Carrie directed the first season,
The
and
first
then it
season.
was just like, all right, you guys have fun now.
bye.
Have fun with Colin Farrell and Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
in
have
season
fun,
2.
Bye.
And then
Still a good season. It's just when compared to the perfection that is the first season. You can't.
dude, because Carrie knows what's up.
So good.
And then of course the awesome writing of Phoebe Waller-Bridges.
Yeah, I saw her name on there. I go, no way.
And then apparently that was Daniel Craig who got her involved.
That's cool, man.
And then of course Daniel himself. This is his swan song.
Yep.
No spoilers.
He's Phoebe Waller-Bridges, man. She's Fleabag, right? Mm-hmm. I love Fleabag. I've watched the first few episodes. I just started, so but it is.
I've been meaning to hop into it.
It's hilarious.
I've been told it's
so good.
amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's great. And yeah, when I saw her name up there, I go, no way.
Yeah,
You know?
Daniel was. He was talking about her being involved in this one, and then I read that he was responsible for getting her involved.
You know, a main criticism I have with most Bond films is that they're too complicated. You know,
Which is what we were talking about after the movie. That
yeah.
Quantum of Solace and Spectre were just way too overly complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that Spectre, with the great direction of Sam Mendes, but it was just too complicated. This one, I felt like it was not really back to basics, but the plot and the story were.
Now, I haven't seen these in a while since I was a kid, so maybe it was my child brain. But even
I don't know.
The Pierce Brosnan ones I thought were too complicated. But maybe it's because I was a kid and I'm not paying attention. You know?
I think it's because. Hang on, everyone. We're going to get to the movie. I think it's because at that point in Bond films, with the changing of the actors, they felt like maybe they'd up the stakes more. Maybe. Because. Honestly, Pierce's best Bond film is GoldenEye.
Yeah, I agree.
And then they really shit the bed with Die Again Tomorrow.
Die Another Day, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's Die Another Day. I mean, you might as well. I think you just wrote a Bond film because that's...
Die Again Tomorrow?
Die Again Tomorrow.
I'm 90% certain that's actually a real...
It's Tomorrow Never Dies. Is another one. I cannot do these.
No, I think it was Die Another Day. I think you're right.
No. Die Another Day, but Tomorrow Never Dies... is another one.
Oh. Oh, sweet Jesus.
And then, and I might be wrong, but then there was the World Is Not Enough, right?
Yeah, I think that was Timothy Dalton.
No, that's still, these are all Brosnan ones.
Well, because his last one was...
Die Another Day.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, with Halle Berry.
Yeah. That one...
Halle Berry.
Yeah, one of the main villains gets... diamonds embedded into his face from an explosion.
Yes.
Not how diamonds
work. Did you watch that?
No, fuck no.
Okay.
I that's the only thing about that I remember. But no, anyway, No Time to Die was great. It was great seeing another Bond movie, and
we'll see what they do with the franchise afterward. But no more Daniel Craig.
No more Daniel Craig. My man's pushing 50.
Even though... I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't care how old he is. Idris Elba needs to be the next Bond, which will never happen. But I want him to be
I don't know, man.
If
he did Suicide Squad, and he was doing a lot of stunts of that.
Squad.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, so it was great. And I am, those of you who rent movies on iTunes, I am really wanting to rent Night House. They just put that on iTunes.
I've been thinking about maybe watching that.
I want to watch that bad. So
I mean, because Rebecca Hall is great.
And then Old Henry. It's Tim Blake Nelson is in a new movie, in a new Western, and the Rotten Tomatoes really good on it. So and that's up for rent but not to buy. So that for right now. So and it's like $7, for both, to rent both. So I'm excited. So I really want to see those.
Anyway, So the movie we are discussing today. Yes,
this one.
It is one of Jeremy's favorites.
Yeah.
But it was my pick.
Yeah.
And this week we are discussing Beetlejuice.
Yep.
We will say it more than once, so if he shows up...
that's just how it's going to go, Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's two right there.
That's two, man.
Oh, God.
But anyway, so today we're discussing Beetlejuice. That's three. I love this movie.
Man.
To me, this is quintessential Halloween season viewings.
Yeah, this is how Ashley and I started our Halloween movie marathon.
Yeah. Good choice.
My wife and I, since we got married, started doing... when October starts, we watch scary movie, all different types of Halloween movies throughout the month. And for the last 2 years, we have started it with Beetlejuice.
Nice.
This time we had no choice. It was like I have to watch it.
Yeah,
I have to.
For the show.
But yeah, man, this is one of my first exposures to Tim Burton. Of course, the first being Nightmare Before Christmas, as everyone's is. But then it was this one, and man, like, I never saw anything like it.
Yeah.
And this is Burton very early in the game.
Yeah, 1988.
Yeah, he had just done Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. I think this is his second movie, because after this he did Batman.
Yeah, Batman. With Michael Keaton.
Yeah, no, I think this was his second movie.
Wow. It took a while for me to comprehend the fact that he didn't rip this off. Like, this isn't a adaptation of anything.
Yeah.
This is
from his own brain.
Right. Yeah. Because it seems so complete that it's like he must have ripped it off, because it's such a unique character, and it seems so complete that it's like, was this a comic book or something? Was this like a original IP somewhere else?
Right. No. And especially with, having a powerhouse as Michael Keaton play our titular character, and just letting him improvise the entire movie.
Yeah, I think he said 90%.
Yeah, 90% of his lines were all improvised.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that he improvises, and I guess we'll go ahead and just start with, let's just talk about Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking. He had broken character, essentially, when he kicks the tree down.
I was hoping you would say that. That's one. Yeah, that's my favorite line.
The nice fucking model.
Nice fucking model.
Yeah. It's a blooper. He breaks character, or I don't know if breaks character, but he's like they're done filming the scene, and he kicks the tree down and yells at the production designer, right? Character, I guess.
But great, because he's looking up too, so it all works. Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines, because then he does the junk grab.
Yeah.
Nice fucking model.
And it made Tim Burton laugh so much that he kept it in.
Dude, because Michael Keaton's the best. If we didn't gush over him in the Birdman episode, shout out to our Birdman episode. Michael Keaton's the best.
He's the best, man. He's so good. My favorite movie of his is Jack Frost. Just kidding.
God, I don't know what I would do if you were ever serious. Like, no, dude, I love Jack Frost.
I love the only time I'll ever be that serious about a movie like that is B-movie. So,
oh my God, yeah,
I love B-movie. But Michael Keaton is perfect for this. I love his comedic timing. I love the choices he makes for this character that is, in all accounts, a predator.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that if it weren't for Michael Keaton, we would hate this guy, and we wouldn't be rooting for Beetlejuice. Yes, he's a bad guy, but we're also having a lot of fun with him as well. Like,
yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
If it was anyone else, we wouldn't have a musical about him now.
Right, exactly. He's just this creepy, sort of sexual predator, right?
Yeah, he truly is.
Yeah.
He's
Not to be confused with the real sexual predator in the film, Jeffrey Johnson.
oh my god. There's gonna be a lot of
RLP, real life pedophile, in the movie.
yes.
Yeah.
Of course, this is before everyone realized that he was disgusting.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Michael Keaton, and I didn't realize it until I read it. Beetlejuice is technically only in the movie for like
Yeah.
a total of 12 minutes.
It's a Silence of the Lambs situation where we love this character. We can't get enough of him, but he's not in it very long.
Yeah, he's our titular character, but he's really not the focus of it.
My second favorite character is their caseworker, Juno. She's my favorite. I love her so much.
With the slit throat and when she smokes the cigarette.
Oh, it's so good.
Dude, and great use of a lot of
Practical
effects and makeup.
Because what they do is they just paint her throat and give her a sort of like chest piece for the gap.
Yeah.
Right? So they just paint her throat black and then have it's perfect.
Yeah.
Right? To have the smoke come out of her throat. It's brilliant.
So let's tell the people who've maybe never seen this movie, what is this movie?
So we have a couple who tragically passes away in a car accident, which in and of itself is a joke because of the car they're using, which is one of the most reliable cars at the time. And one of the safest cars at the time.
Station wagon.
And so, and it's like a specific Volvo style,
wagon,
right?
Yeah.
That is at the time one of the safest cars, which in and of itself is a joke that they.
And how they die too is, I mean, it's tragic that.
But it's also very silly with the dog and with right.
Yeah, that it's a very slapstick. Like the dog's body weight is countering the car.
Yeah.
And when he jumps off the board, like, oh well,
there they go. And they live in a very quaint, nice, very Mayberry-esque town
in somewhere in Ohio, I think.
Sure. And they tragically pass away. And they are having to come to grips with being dead.
And now being ghosts.
Right. And I want you to put a picture of it. They do have guidelines in their book for the recently deceased.
Oh, yes. I should have grabbed it.
So I should have because it's at the
well.
But you can put up a book. In the thing. Which I love. I love that in this world there is a manual.
For ghosts.
To acclimate to being dead.
But it reads like serial instructions.
It's boring, right? It's a textbook,
Yeah.
And so, while coming to grips with this, people are starting to infiltrate their house or moving into their house.
Yeah, which I have words about, but we'll get to about their fucking realtor friend.
I hate the realtor.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Jane, she's the worst.
Yeah, and I love that she brags to
that she decorated
and that's the one thing they hate about the house.
But yes, the Dietzes are moving in.
Yeah.
And I want to say this was Winona Ryder's like second movie.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know her early filmography that well before Beetlejuice.
Yeah, because
after this it's
Edward Scissorhands and Heathers and
Girl Interrupted and
Winona Ryder's is super underrated. Watch more Winona Ryder movies.
I mean Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean she's in a bunch of stuff and her recent stuff maybe not as much, but definitely
Jeremy doesn't like Stranger Things.
Don't at all.
Quit sending him Stranger Things fan fiction.
I don't like it. But the Dietzes move in and when they go to this sort of afterlife waiting room to go see Juno, their caseworker, because not only do you have a handbook to acclimate, but you also get someone to go talk to.
You have a caseworker, but you have X amount of help vouchers.
Now, I will say...
Tim Burton doing a real good job of making the afterlife very mundane.
Yeah, and just boring, and just like going to the DMV. Especially with the take a number. thing, which is very silly, which I love, right?
Yeah, man.
I love that, he is, which is why this movie seems so complete, which is why I thought he ripped it off. Because he's world building this whole idea of this afterlife and whatever. I love. And the guy who's smushed, who got run over by the car, who's having to be hung by wires. I recently saw something with him in it, and I didn't realize it was the same person.
Yeah.
Right? I guess, obviously because of the makeup.
Yeah, because he doesn't look smushed.
Yeah, he's not smushed in whatever I saw him in. I think he might have just recently passed away too, which is why I just thought of it. But they have another option. So, of course, Juno tells them, haunt the house, right?
Get them out on your own.
If you want these people out of your house, which, of course, they do, get them out on your own. But then they get this flyer, seen above me, saying that there's another option. You can use a bioexorcist, which is what Beetlejuice is.
He is a ghost in and of himself.
Yeah, he's the ghost with the most.
Yeah.
As some would say.
He's the ghost with the most, babe.
Well, as he would say. And Juno warns them. Not the first, or maybe she is the first, but definitely
she's the first to warn them.
Not the last to warn them about Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
He's dangerous. He will not only get them out, but he'll kill them, right?
Yeah.
And he'll ruin your life, or your afterlife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they try it out anyway. And it turns out he's been living in their model home, or the model town. Which I love. I love the giant version of the model town, right?
Yeah.
The set.
Yeah, when they go into the model, yeah.
Right, and having to break up the fake plastic grass or the rubber grass and all that. It's so good.
Yeah, man.
Brilliant.
Yeah, man. Tim
Burton knows what he's doing. Burton, I mean, not all the time, but
okay.
He knows what he's doing most of the time.
Look, everyone out there, I love Tim Burton, but I, just like Jeremy kind of hinted at, I can acknowledge that some of his latest films, not too good. Didn't see Dumbo. Heard it wasn't very good.
No, I didn't see that either.
I recently saw Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Is I don't know how it was marketed as a children's movie. It is not.
No.
But a lot of his earlier stuff, especially Beetlejuice, how he was able to convince a studio to give him money to do this,
I know,
is wild.
I know, and at least for the distribution, it's Warner Brothers.
Yeah, technically it's Warner.
At the time, it was
Geffen.
Yeah.
Which I think is now defunct.
Bummer. But anyway, so they request his services.
But they immediately.
I'm yada-yadaing through a lot of this, just to get to the goods. But
they learned that this isn't gonna work.
Shouldn't have done it, right?
Nope.
And of course they befriend Delia, right? No, not Delia.
Lydia.
Delia's the mom. It's Catherine O'Hara. They befriend Lydia
because Lydia can see them.
Because she herself is
strange and unusual.
And together they try to stop Beetlejuice from, ruining
everything.
Right. And marrying Lydia.
Because
she's a child, by the way.
Yeah, she's at least 15.
Yeah.
14.
At the most.
At the most.
At the most.
Yeah, because he, as he claims, he has no rules, but the rule is he has to get married to someone to fully, I guess, re-enter the living world.
Right, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's still a fun Tim Burton ride. They end up, foiling his plans and sending him down the mouth of a sandworm, and then he's seen in the waiting room. Now, yada through a lot of that, because I don't want to get too bogged down to the details, because I want to talk about these details.
Of course.
So let's double back and let's talk about the model. So they're in the model. So I can't get over this set. It's so good, right?
Yeah.
And I just love this which is probably why it's one of my favorites, because this is a lot of Beetlejuice time. This is a lot of Michael Keaton getting to be on screen and getting this sort of cartoon logic. It's sort of like a la what The Mask would later do, right?
Yeah.
This sort of like cartoonish logic, right?
Yeah, he's floating. He's
changing clothes really fast. You know, he's
pulling random stuff out of his pockets,
which I love.
Yeah, here, hold that, and it's a rat.
And he's like pulling snakes and stuff out of his pocket. I love it so much. And of course, I love the do you want to know if I can? Can you be scary?
Oh yeah, like what are your qualifications? Oh yeah, and he
puts on his voice.
Yeah. Oh well, I attended Juilliard. And then he progressively turns back into Beetlejuice. I lived through the Black Plague and had a pretty great time doing that. Yeah, it's one of my favorite monologues.
I've seen The Exorcist 167 times.
And it keeps getting funnier every single time I watch it. Now, what do you think? And not to mention you're talking to a dead guy. What do you think?
And, of course, the gross out, whatever he does, which we don't get to see, but remnants of on the side.
Which I read that apparently that's what he really looks like. But, of course, what adds to the mystery is, well, we don't know what he looks like.
Yeah.
Only Adam and Barbara know what he looked like.
Right. By the way, that's a handsome Alec Baldwin right there.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
All right.
We're going to take a pause on Michael Keaton. The couple, Adam and Barbara, I don't think we get their last name. No, the Maitlands.
The Maitlands, yeah.
Played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. I actually did a little bit of backpedaling when we rewatched this. This was a lot of people's only second or third movie in their career. And Alec looks great.
Real handsome guy, Alec Baldwin.
I mean, like I said about Robert De Niro and Raging Bull, Alec was a hottie with a body, man.
Hottie with a body, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
and of course, I dearly love Gina Davis.
Yeah.
So much.
Big time.
Her yelp in this movie is one of my highlights. Her but yeah, man. I wonder. I've often wondered this. Michael Keaton talks about Beetlejuice a lot, but I don't see Alec Baldwin talking about it a lot. Do you think maybe he was just Do you think not necessarily that he thinks he's too good for it now that he's an Academy Award winning actor, but do you think maybe he's just kind of that was in the past. I've moved on.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not enough people talk to him about it.
I loved you in Beetlejuice. And
right.
He's
don't think he gets that a lot.
No, he probably gets, hey, I loved you in Cat in the Hat.
Yes. That's it. That's what he gets all the time. I loved you in Cat in the Hat.
He probably would be like, get out of my face. Yeah, I hate that movie.
Or, I know that some actors, not bottom rung actors, but, actors that are still, not A-list, right?
Uh-huh.
When they are working with someone uber famous, right, and they're getting sort of nervous and, sort of in their head about it, remembering something stupid they've done in their career, like a really dumb, awful movie, helps. And so, remembering that he was in Cat in the Hat, you know what I mean? That helps.
So, do you think, when Edward Norton casted him in Motherless Brooklyn, Edward Norton was like, oh my God, it's Alec Baldwin. Wait, he did Cat in the Hat. Okay,
he was in Cat in the Hat. Oh, right.
Oh, that's right. And I was in Fight Club. Okay, I'm good.
Oh, thank God. You know what I mean? Of course, Alec could do the same thing and be like, he was in Death to Smoochie. Okay, he was in Death to Smoochie. Okay, good. Okay. I've heard of actors doing that to help
That's
them.
Funny.
Right?
That's so funny.
That was a stupid aside. But, okay.
But anyway.
Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis. Love Gina Davis to death.
Yes.
Of course, this might be my favorite Gina Davis, but I also love A League of Their Own.
Oh,
and of course, right?
Yeah.
Big fan of Gina Davis. I don't know what she's doing these days.
I know she did that Exorcist show where she played...
awesome.
Where she played the adult Reagan.
So good. Which, of course, spoiler, because you don't find that out till later. But
yeah.
What a wonderful show. Dad and I loved The Exorcist.
Sidebar one. Didn't they... I heard a lot of people were not too happy with the second season they did.
Second season was...
Well, I think they got canceled after the second season.
I think so. I don't know if they did a third.
And we'll look it up after the episode. But yeah.
Sure, John Cho's in that. It's good.
Really?
It's not bad.
Cowboy Bebop, John Cho?
Sure.
Of Cowboy Bebop fame?
Of future Cowboy Bebop fame?
Trust me, guys. When that show comes out, Jeremy and I will have opinions of it.
Yeah.
Because Jeremy and I, the only anime I've been able to get him to watch.
Yeah.
It's Cowboy Bebop.
It's good.
Anyway, yeah. So, for as basic as Adam and Barbara are, they're also the most relatable characters.
I agree.
In the movie.
Yeah, they're super relatable. They are very dull, but they're dull, but then they become more interesting because they're dead and because they can do all this crazy stuff like, take off their faces and, be able to decapitate
Adam.
Adam for a second. You know what I mean? Like, and of course, like, that's when they're new at it.
Right.
Right? Which one of my favorite sequences is, what's his name? Otto? What's his name?
Otho. R.I.P. to that guy.
Yes.
He also plays the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas. R.I.P. At his memorial service, they played Deo.
No. Yeah. That's fun.
I read about that at his memorial service in 2005.
That's going to be a whole thing. We're going to talk about that here in a minute.
They played Deo.
So he was also in an episode or two of Seinfeld early on. It doesn't matter. So he's wonderful, and when he's walking around with Delia, and I love that you think they're reacting to them, and of course it's a fake out because they're like, we got to pray the closets are bigger than this one.
Yeah, and then he finds their wedding attire, and he just kind of, I love how he shoves her body out of the way like it's nothing.
Yeah, like it's not there because he can't see it, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you like Gina Davis's
Yeah.
What did you think about Catherine O'Hara's? Or I can't do it, but
her, dude. Okay.
Her gross out noise.
I also love Catherine O'Hara. Mm-hmm. I love her so much.
Finally getting some real respect. From Schitt's Creek, even though she has been good always. She's always been good.
Have you not seen
any of the Chris Gethard stuff? Not Chris Gethard. What's his name? He did For A Mighty Wind. He did Waiting for Guffman and Best in Show, and he did all the.
You just named 4 movies I've never seen.
Okay, well, Catherine O'Hara's in all of those.
Catherine O'Hara is fantastic. Schitt's Creek is great.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean, you should have been giving Catherine O'Hara respect long before that.
Yeah.
Which sidebar, a little inconsistency on my part. For the longest time, I thought her name was spelled with a K. And then one time when I was rewatching Beetlejuice, I noticed it was a C. I was like, that's wrong.
No, you're wrong.
Wrong. And I looked it up. Was like, oh no, I'm wrong.
No, you're wrong.
I know. I want to say it's because I saw it somewhere with a K, and then that's what I was like, oh, that's how you spell her name.
But see, this is a good transition because now we can talk about the
Dietzes.
The Dietzes, because with trying not too much to talk about Jeffrey Jones. Because fuck him.
Yeah,
because
okay,
he's
Charles Dietz, Jeffrey Jones. He just wanted to get the hell out of New York.
That's
all you need to know about Charles.
I like his character, which is a shame because it's a shame that Jeffrey Jones ruins it because I do like his character.
He's this burnt out businessman.
And he just wants,
peace and quiet.
Yeah, and not he's the exact opposite of Delia, which is, how they ever got together. Sort of a mystery.
It's a New York marriage.
And it's his money, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because she just makes sculptures.
And I
don't mean a sculpture like I bought it. I mean like I made it.
I mean like I made it. It's my sculpture.
And he just slams it down.
Just put it on the costume.
I love it so much.
Delia is a handful. Especially her monologue of I will live with you in this house, but if you do not let me gut it out and make it my own, I will go insane and I will take you with me.
Too late.
Yeah, too late. She's already batshit crazy.
She's so crazy. Which is so funny that it ends up, like we're supposed to think she's awful, and in real life he's awful. But so it's like, nah, I'm with Catherine O'Hara on this one. I'm with Delia on this one.
And then we have Lydia, Charles's daughter from, I'm assuming, a previous marriage.
Because, stepmom, right?
Yeah, Delia's not my stepmom. Or
right.
Delia's not my mom.
Right. Stepmom calls her Delia, right? So I mean, these are obvious. Like, it's not her mom, right?
Right.
I like that she's super goth, right?
Dude,
A lot of people's introduction into what it is to be goth, I think.
oh yeah, 100%.
Well, people our age, I would assume.
Oh yeah.
And she's very odd.
Yeah,
Right.
one of my favorite lines of hers is because she likes photography. Charles is like, we'll build you a dark room in the basement. My whole life is a dark room. And she just says it so, like, to the point.
Yeah, she's super emo, like super goth, and I love her character. I think she's great.
I never noticed it until we were rewatching it for this episode. I laughed so hard when I realized it. Is when they're eating dinner and they're eating Chinese, and she's got the veil on. I'm like, wait, how's she eating? Is she taking the chopsticks underneath the veil? And if you notice, she does it, and I was laughing. She's just like...
Now, another thing that I don't know if you've ever noticed is there's a scene where Delia is cooking. She's preparing for the dinner, right? The dinner party. She is wearing... I forgot his name already. Jerry Jones's character. What is his name?
Charles.
She's wearing Charles's sweater as pants.
Oh, I'm going to have to rewatch that now.
Yeah, she is wearing his sweater as pants.
It's awesome.
So she's putting her legs through the armholes because she's like a stupid, yuppie, artsy piece of shit.
Yeah.
And it's the sweater that you see him wearing like in the scene before or
That's
whatever.
so funny. I'm gonna have to look really close to that.
It's very funny.
I think because I've never noticed it because she's behind the island.
Yeah, and she does walk
shot.
around, and you can.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh my god.
There are little things like that that are just quirks, like the veil thing, and like her wearing the sweater
so
as
funny.
pants. That's just so silly.
Well, let's talk about Otho because he technically is a part of the Dietz clan. Otho is
a lot.
He's a lot.
He's a lot.
He apparently was a chemist, a hairstylist,
Yep.
a renovator.
Yeah.
He knows a lot about the occult. Apparently, Otho is he's everything. Apparently,
He's a know-it-all, and who knows if he actually does know all that stuff, or if he's just showing off, or if he's just trying to make himself seem more than what he actually is, which is an interior decorator.
Yeah,
Which there's nothing wrong with being an interior decorator.
I love the part when he talks about how he used to be a chemist, and he's all like
Blue green.
because he says I can't think of the word. He's like blue green, and he writes I guess like
It's not.
the sign for it, which
It
not.
isn't.
And he's like, people forget I was a chemist. I was a hairstylist once.
Once.
And
Briefly.
Otho is
Love
just,
his voice. Love how deep he can get.
which is wild to think that he's the mayor in Halloween
I
Town.
know. Yeah.
Because you can hear it a little bit once you know that that Otho and him are the same person.
Yeah.
You're like, oh. But Otho is also the worst too.
Yeah, he is the worst. I
He's
agree.
so annoying too.
I mean, God, later they're even friends with Robert Goulet. At the dinner party, Robert Goulet is there. He's
He's the one who calls Delia the Flake?
I think so.
Oh, no. Oh, you mean like the end of the movie?
No, that's Dick Cavett.
So you're talking about the guy that Charles brings in to try to sell him on buying the town.
Yeah, he's the mustache guy.
The mustache guy that Beetlejuice...
Is he not there at the dinner party?
No, not the Day-O dinner party. He's at the last dinner party.
Okay.
At the end of the movie
You're right,
when
you're right,
Beetlejuice...
Yeah, that's Robert Goulet.
strength test arms and through the
That's
ceiling.
right. No, Dick Cavett is at the dinner party.
Who calls Delia a flake?
A flake,
You've
yeah.
always been a flake, Delia.
Yeah.
And he walks out.
Okay. Let's talk about the dinner party.
The dinner party.
The dinner party, I think, is most people's... If it's not their favorite scene, it's definitely the scene they know.
When you think...
best.
Yeah, I would say when you think Beetlejuice, this is the scene you think about.
Yes. Now, it is implied early in the movie that they listen to Harry Belafonte.
Yes, that Adam is a big fan of Harry Belafonte.
And Calypso. Which is odd, but that's fine.
But it's also pretty rad at the same
Yeah, I mean, it is rad. Shout out to Black Klansman. Harry Belafonte is in Black Klansman.
Didn't you say it looks rough?
He is so old, but of course he's a million years old.
Yeah.
Like he was old when Beetlejuice came out. So
Yeah. Yeah, dude, and I love how they've got tapes of him all around the house.
Yeah.
Like tape in the attic, and then when he goes down to the basement, he's got a tape. And
Yeah. Now, Deo parentheses the Banana Boat song is
I like that you included the parentheses.
is a great song, but it's not my favorite. My favorite is "Jump in the Line," which is at the
we
end
also
of the,
get.
right.
Yes, so this is the dinner party that Adam and Barbara decide, you know what, we're gonna try a new tactic to scare them out. And this is probably their most intricate, because if you really think about how there's only two of them, how did they manage to possess everyone
at the same
the
time.
food?
Yeah. And of course what would make anybody just burst out laughing is how it starts with Delia
Going, Dale.
Yeah. And we just got sued.
Which, if you notice, I think they didn't tell Winona Ryder that they were going to do that.
That's
because if you look at the scene, she looks like she's genuinely laughing.
Yeah.
Because she starts hysterically laughing. So I think they didn't tell her that Catherine O'Hara was going to start this. Because this is when just Catherine was possessed.
Right.
But yeah, then it just all evolves and they're all dancing.
Escalates. And then, of course, the shrimp arms and the
shootout.
And the bowl.
Yeah.
So good. The whole thing is brilliant and well choreographed and extremely memorable.
Yes, which is funny because it almost didn't make it into the movie.
Interesting.
I read that Tim was really worried that people weren't going to find it funny because he apparently didn't find it that funny, but he was like, I don't think people are going to like it.
Yeah.
We'll leave it in anyway.
But he's basically like Lydia is basically Tim Burton, right? Yeah. And so like he doesn't strike me as someone who knows who Harry Belafonte even is, but of course he does. But I mean, it's like, I don't know if he would think it's funny because that's not his sense of humor, but I like that he added it anyway because he's like, my sense of humor is not for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not a good baseline for what is funny because I'm Tim Burton and I'm weird.
Yeah. Not many comedies in his repertoire or flat out comedies.
Right.
Unless you count Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure.
I do.
Wait, yeah, so do I. I love Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure.
Yeah, it's super fun and
shout out to Lawrence Fishburne in Pee Wee Herman's Big House, Pee Wee's Big House, Pee Wee's House, whatever. The show.
Pee Wee's Playhouse.
There we go. As
and Phil Hartman.
What's Cowboy?
I don't know.
Francis or something like that.
So wild.
It's so wild that Lawrence Fishburne was in that. Anyway, but yeah, dude, the dinner scene is. I remember actually as a kid being much more scared of it.
Oh, really?
Because I mean, yeah, the hands just shoot out of nowhere. Because they do a really good switcheroo from making them look like
it's silly
real shrimp to the fake shrimp. Because I think when the scene starts, it's real shrimp, and then I think it they pull a switcheroo.
Yeah.
But yeah, the hands, because then the hands are all scaly and and they even laugh after they knock everyone out of their seats. They're like, but yeah, man. But now that I'm older, I'm like, that's funny.
It's funny, right? And of course, it doesn't work because instead of being terrified and running from the house, they love it.
Yeah, as Delia says, I didn't even know I could do the calypso. No, it's not her. It's the other girl there.
That woman, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't even know I could do the calypso.
The woman Dick Cavett with.
Yeah.
Dick Cavett, if a lot of you don't know, is one of the... I don't know if most famous would work because I'm having to describe to you who he is, but he was a late night host, a talk show host forever and ever and ever and ever. He's interviewed a lot of famous people. Go check out the Dick Cavett show and YouTube him and you'll see.
Get on the YouTubies.
Yeah, it would take me years to even realize it was Dick Cavett.
But yeah, so it doesn't work. And Lydia is sent up there to bring them down.
Yeah.
Even though, in retrospect, had they come down, I don't think anyone would have actually seen them.
Yeah.
Because
they had to put it on the sheets.
Yeah, as my tattoo.
Yeah, as your tattoo.
Yeah, if you can see that in the camera. There we go. Yeah, but the thing is, because that's the only time Charles really sees them is the sheets.
Yeah.
Of course, Charles really sees them at the end of the movie, but we'll get there.
Right.
But then Beetlejuice witnesses this, and he's like, "Nah, I'll show y'all."
Not good enough.
And this is when we get one of my favorite things that Tim Burton does very early on in his filmography is incorporating claymation within.
Yeah, the stop motion and the claymation
in a live action movie is because this is when we get the Beetlejuice snake.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite lines he says is, "We've come for your daughter, Chuck." And he drops Charles from the top of the staircase.
Yeah. It's brilliant. And you're right, the use of stop motion and claymation with the forced perspective, with it being in line with everything else, the live action, it's really good.
Yeah, the only actual model we get is when he's kind of bearing down on Lydia.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the only model we get, but the rest I think is all claymation. And it's great, especially when Barbara comes out and says his name 3 times and he turns back into the banister.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, no!" And then it goes, whoop, and the banister's back.
It even makes a noise kind of like that.
Yeah. But then Beetlejuice decides, you know what? I don't want to work with you guys. And that's when we get his, he turns into a sticker because Barbara picks him up and then he produces spikes.
Yeah.
And this is when we get the Dante's Inferno horror house.
Yeah. This is a kid's movie.
Yeah.
This is PG.
I love how Barbara's like, "Adam," and he's like, "I didn't do that." And it was Juno's idea.
Yeah.
The whorehouse was my idea.
Now, Juno, my favorite, my second favorite, of course. I love her interactions with the football team. Like, "Coach,
Where's the bathroom?"
like, there's no bathroom. I'm not your coach.
He survived.
Like, Coach, like, keep calling her.
And then I love, like, after the meeting, "Coach, I don't think we survived that plane crash." You think?
I love Juno so much, man.
Yeah, I can't think of the actress's name, but she's great.
I can't either, but she's phenomenal, man. I love her character. I love just the idea of a caseworker for a ghost.
For ghosts, yeah. Yeah, and I love that was we didn't talk on it a lot, so I just kind of wanted to go back to it. Is seeing all the different ways people have died.
Yes, and
like,
of course the woman, the receptionist, she would not have died. When she shows her wrist cut, she wouldn't have died that way. It's the wrong way.
Oh, and I love because I love that's we learn about that. Like, if I knew then what I know now, I would have rethought my little accident. Because then it's later on that because Otho's girlfriend, as she implies that he's actually maybe gay, because she calls him your kind.
Well, the actor is gay. So.
Yeah. But he's like, this is one of your drab suicide attempts. Because you know what they say. When you commit suicide, you become a service worker in the afterlife. And you're like, or not a service worker, that's not the right. But like, essentially you work at a desk in the afterlife, which makes sense because this pageantry woman is a desk clerk.
Yeah.
But I love seeing the guy who choked on a chicken bone.
Yes, that one's wild.
It's in his neck, and they've like extended it.
Of course, the witch doctor and the explorer.
Yeah,
so good. That's a good double, right? Mm-hmm. They go together because like it's just great.
The guy who got bit by a snake in his sleeping bag, because you can see the snake, and he's just like.
The guy who burnt to death.
Oh yeah. And he offers Adam a cigarette.
And that's such a great gag too, with him just putting his head through the chair
and having his little crisp body.
Yeah, and it's just shaking like cigarette.
Oh no, yeah, I'm trying to cut back myself.
Yeah.
The
woman who's cut in half.
The magician's assistant who's cut in half. Yeah, it's so great because and through exposition. We're told, because Barbara's like, is this what happens when you die? And the pageantry lady's like, no, This is what happens when he dies. This is what happens when they die. And this is what happens when you die.
It's all very personal.
Did you know, sidebar, did you know that since Adam and Barbara technically drowned, the original idea was to keep them wet the entire movie because
everyone else,
we see how everyone else dies.
Yeah.
But Tim realized, well, keeping them wet the entire movie is probably going to be uncomfortable
and impractical because they would be wet the entire time. But it's funny that that would be an inconsistency, right, with the narrative because they are not showing signs
of how they died,
and everybody else does, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it adds a little bit more mystery to how Adam and Barbara died.
Sure. It's an inconsistency, but that's fine. It's a mistake. You know what? It's a mistake. But of course, not a mistake because they talked about it and they thought about it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Like, I'm sure it's a different movie if they were wet the whole time, but it would have been cool. It would have been neat if they were wet the whole time to show that, they drowned and...
Yeah. Well, so Jeremy, are you ready to talk about the second dinner scene? The scene where Otho has stolen the handbook and pretty much tells Charles, like, yeah, I can bring these ghosts here. Because Adam and Barbara don't... It's like, we want you out of our house. Yeah. We don't want to interact with you guys.
Yeah.
And this is when... Because another great line of dialogue through exposition is... when ghosts are exorcised, they call it the final death because there's no, yes, ghosts can't come back, but for them, there is no coming back from being exorcised.
Right.
And that's essentially
the Lost Souls room.
Yeah.
Great set deck, by the way. That hallway.
Oh yeah, of having different doors and windows, and it's
very Tim Burton, right? Mm-hmm. It's sort of it's almost German expressionistic, right?
Yeah, which is having slants.
Yeah. Which I guess it is German expressionistic, but not almost. It is. And the floor of the hallway, it's like super weird, and
it's like the forced perspective like room where like if you were to stand on an elevated plane, you look bigger than someone standing
right.
Which I think that was the point, is to make it look
it's super like weird and off-putting.
Yeah. But anyway, so they Otho, to prove that he knows what he's doing, he exorcises Barbara and Adam. Mm-hmm. To show that they are real. But, as we learned, that if the exorcism completes, Barbara and Adam are done for. Even though they're already dead.
Dunzo.
They are, they're dunzos bagunzo.
Yep.
And so Lydia enlists Beetlejuice help. And this is when we get this whole, like, come to think of it, I don't have any rules. But I gotta get married.
Yeah. And I love he's doing that pocket thing again. And he finds the ring and with the finger, and he goes, she meant nothing to me.
But see, that's another of my favorite things when he comes back. Well, as he says, he's back, and then he's like, "Thank you." After he skyrockets the two
Robert
people,
Robert Goulet and the other woman,
yeah. And he's like, "Thank you," and that is why I won't do 2 shows a night anymore, babe. I won't. Now, what do we have here tonight, kids?
Yeah, he's and of course the checkered suit, which is iconic. And
I almost texted you to be like, bro, Spirit Halloween has it. Go buy it. And they even have his wedding suit.
Ah, the wedding suit. Now her wedding dress is red.
Yeah.
Because there is a little sing-songy saying, "Married in red, better be dead," or something like that. Like it's there's like a saying. Yeah, for it.
The future Rain will probably find it.
Sure, find it and splat it on the thing. I don't care. But
but yeah, so Beetlejuice sort of saves the Maitlands. And this is one of my favorite parts and good use of practical makeup when Adam's jaw falls off.
Yes.
And because he's like, bleh, and his jaw pops down and Barbara's trying to hook it back in.
Yeah, and also with the zipper and the metal plate.
Yeah.
Where he winds up and throws the metal plate. That I liked.
Yeah, because Adam can't get Beetlejuice's name out to save his life because first Beetlejuice knocks his whole jaw and mouth out.
Yes.
And then transports him to the model.
Right.
But Barbara's able to get it out twice, and that's with before he zippers up her mouth, and then she unzips her mouth.
And I love the yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for people to listen.
No, it's not. But they save the day because he makes the fatal mistake of sending Barbara to Saturn, where the sandworms are. Everyone knows this.
Everybody knows the sandworms are on Saturn.
Okay.
All right.
And sandworm attacks are up by 15% this year.
Yep.
You know?
Damn sandworms.
And then Barbara somehow comes back from Saturn and crashes through the house, and the sandworm eats Beetlejuice, and
he ends up in the waiting room.
He ends up in the waiting room because technically he has now died twice.
Yeah.
Because I will say that's the only part of the movie I don't get. Because if he's technically already dead, how can he be dead again?
Who knows?
But
that means like he has to get another caseworker.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And then he pulls the old switcheroo kind of thing where he's like,
love it.
1 billionth place in line, but then the witch doctor next to him is next in line, and
yeah.
And I just love his whole like, hey, let me ask you a question. How do you get him so small? And hey, yo, is that Elvis? Hey, yo, King! And he switches him out, and he's like, oh, looks like I'm next. And then the witch doctor shrinks his head.
Yeah, and I love that. It's 1980 CGI, but it's really good.
It is really good.
It's pretty good, and I just like that whole thing was shot. It was reshot. It was a reshoot. They were like, it would be funny, and they go back and reshoot, and then they went and put it in the movie.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
because then we get to check up on the Maitlands and the Dietzes. They have decided to share the house,
live in harmony.
I think it's more of Adam and Barbara are going to live downstairs, and the Dietzes are going to live upstairs. I don't know, because if you notice, Adam and Barbara are redecorating back to how they had it.
Yeah.
And they're essentially, if I'm being honest, they're essentially raising Lydia.
Yeah, together, yeah.
Yeah, because they helped And the science test. And, apparently Lydia wants to get possessed. And the only way she could have gotten possessed if she got good grades.
Right.
And Adam's like, oh, I don't know about that C in science, though.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to dissect a frog.
Right.
No one does that anymore.
No.
Because it's against her religion, which I love is a great little line. And so Adam's like, all right. And then this is when we get our second...
Jump in the line.
Where Lydia is possessed and singing Jump in the Line. And I love that Charles is reading the handbook for harmonious living.
Yeah.
And he's like, this reads like stereo instructions. Oh, Lydia got an A.
And then she makes the sculpture of Beetlejuice. He goes, he likes it.
He likes it. Yeah.
And of course the football team on the
staircase.
It's wonderful. The whole movie's wonderful, and I love it.
And that's Beetlejuice.
I love this movie very, very much. Again, Michael Keaton, it's still, without him, the movie's garbage.
Yeah.
And the woman who plays
Yeah. I tried to see if, which I wasn't really committed to researching this deeply, but I was trying to see if anyone else was in the running to play Beetlejuice, but like I said, I didn't really commit that far into researching that, because the movie is synonymous with Michael Keaton. Like the 4K deluxe version I have says Michael Keaton is Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yes, the rest of the cast is fantastic except for Jeffrey Jones. He can go fuck himself.
Yeah.
But you don't find like a Beetlejuice like Blu-ray and it says like Alec Baldwin,
Gina Davis.
It's Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And he and Tim had such a great relationship that the very next year they did Batman together. Batman. And now Michael Keaton is going to be back as Batman after almost
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
Are you going to see that movie? Just so you can see Michael Keaton again. It's the Flash movie with Ezra Miller.
Oh, yeah. I'll see that one because I love Ezra Miller. I think he's the he's the best part of the new DCU, in my personal opinion. Is Ezra Miller. I think he's so good.
And I like that.
So well cast.
Hang on, everyone. And I like that in the new Snyder Cut, the Flash gets way more screen time and way more character development.
I didn't see the original, so I just saw the Snyder Cut.
I will let you borrow the original, and then I will let you throw it away.
Never. I do love Ezra Miller, as we discussed in our...
We Need to Talk About Kevin?
We Need to Talk About
Shout
Kevin.
out to our We Need to Talk About Kevin episode. But yeah, man. The movie, I don't think would work if you had any other comedic actor.
No, I agree. And, at that time, he was essentially a comedic actor.
Yeah, this is before he crossed into dramas so seamlessly. Yeah.
Jack Frost, like I said.
Most dramatic movie of our time. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Ashley and I put that on our list, I think, last year because we also do it with Christmas movies. And we started to watch it, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot how fucking awful.
Oh, you started watching him?
We literally fast forward till he becomes a snowman, and then we're like, oh my God. And so we fast forwarded more, and we're like, it's still going.
It's still bad.
Yeah, the movie is so dumb.
Did you get to the part where they throw snowballs at him
and he has
boobs?
breasts, and he's like, boobs. And then that's when I learned that.
Too funny.
I also learned this when they originally had George Clooney in mind.
Yes, because the puppet looks like George Clooney.
But then George dropped out in the middle of filming, and they're like, oh, fuck. And so they brought in Michael Keaton, but they didn't have the money to redo the puppet. So they're like, well...
I mentioned them before. How did this get made? They have an episode on Jack Frost.
Jesus Christ.
So, and it's awesome. It's so fucking funny. And it's a live episode. Sorry, we'll get. And one of the they allow the audience to ask questions, and they go and they'll pick people out of the audience.
Uh-huh.
And this guy goes, "I watched the horror movie Jack Frost."
Uh-huh.
They watched the wrong one, and they're like, "Did anybody else watch the?" And several people raised their hands. He goes, "Oh man," they watched.
The horror movie,
horror movie called Jack Frost,
which is like I think it's like what a demon possessing a snowman.
I would assume it's the exact same movie, but it's scary. That's what
I think he eats people.
Yeah, or something.
But instead of a dad trying to make it big as a musician, serial killer dad.
I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. And it's still Michael Keaton, and it's not.
Wouldn't it be wild?
It'd be so wild. And I just thought that was funny.
Hey Michael, we got an idea for you. Okay, what is it? You're gonna be a dad, but you're gonna die, but you're gonna come back as a snowman. Guys, I already did this movie. No. But you're gonna eat kids, and he's like, "Go on."
I'm listening. So what we're saying is, we love Michael Keaton, and even though he does stuff like Jack Frost, he's still great. And
Jack Frost and Herbie Fully Loaded.
Oh, I didn't see Herbie Fully Loaded.
Don't. Unless you love Lindsay Lohan.
I've never seen a Herbie movie at all.
Neither have I. I've only seen that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
It's because before
you
Lindsay...
probably wouldn't have gotten all the really subtle references of the other movies.
But they open it with all the other movies. Like all of Herbie's past adventures.
Oh.
Yeah. Just enough to make people who've never seen a Herbie movie understand.
So it's like a sentient car? That's weird.
Yeah, it's Cars, but in real life.
Oh, okay, it's real life Cars.
With Lindsay Lohan. And Matt Dillon. How they got Matt Dillon to be in this fucking movie, I don't know.
Just go watch House of Jack Bill. Shout out to our House of the Jack Bill episode.
Yeah.
I love the House of Jack Bill.
Anyway, yes, so there is no Beetlejuice without Michael Keaton.
No Beetlejuice without Michael Keaton.
Now, before we get to our wrap-up, do you believe the rumors that there is going to be a sequel?
It's on IMDb.
I mean, yeah, but there's a lot of shit on IMDb
well,
that's
here's
just
what's
rumors.
funny is that they wanted to do a sequel.
Where he goes to Hawaii?
Yeah, Beetlejuice...
I think it's Beetlejuice Goes Hawaii.
Yeah, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, and yeah, I would have seen it.
But Tim was like, no, man.
Yeah, well, he was having some trouble with the studio just because he was just flabbergasted by just how different their visions are, because he had ideas for the title, right? Mm-hmm. He wasn't going to call it Beetlejuice. And so after a couple of denials, he just goes, okay, what if I just call it Scared Sheetless?
Oh, yeah. And
They go,
okay.
oh, that's a good one. He goes, no,
Absolutely
Because
not.
I was joking. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if
I read somewhere that Tim is working with someone to potentially write a sequel. And apparently Winona and Michael Keaton have both said, like, we would do it.
just let it go. Let it go.
It's too, like, okay, look. I was talking about this the other day.
Too far gone.
When a good sequel comes, it's not a bad thing. But when there's too much of a gap,
Yeah.
like, perfect example, Anchorman. Anchorman is fantastic. Too much of a gap for a sequel.
I liked the other one. I liked the second one too. I thought it was really
The
fun.
second one was funny, but there was too much of a gap.
There are examples where it works. I think the only true modern day example would be Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gap works in its favor.
That's because Denis Villeneuve was like, hey, you know this movie that flopped in the 80s? Give me $500 million and I'll make it better.
Give me that.
Give me that.
And
Ridley Scott, give me the rights.
But the gap works in its favor, and it was a gap in real time. They used the 30 years of time, and from release date, you know what I'm saying? Like, they used that in its narrative, so it's not like we're going not as far into the future or further into the future. We're doing the exact time since its release, which I liked.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up another example. The movie we literally watched last night that's a real-time gap.
That is a real-time
between Spectre and No Time to Die.
Well, I didn't see Spectre, so I did, but I didn't finish it.
But yeah, no, I agree. Unless my only thing, if a Beetlejuice sequel is to come, my only thing is the script would have to be on point. It would have to be on point, and you would have to
the story would have to be to where, like, you know, like, I guess my only thing is, guys, like, we forgive you, Jeffrey Jones, come back. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. He's a monster and he deserves to die. But I don't want a sequel.
No.
Let it go. It's like I don't want an Edward Scissorhands sequel.
No.
Quit it.
Stop it.
Stop it. Smack your hand away. Stop it.
Yeah, and for those out there who consider the show a sequel, you're wrong.
I do like the show. I did like the show as a kid. I watched it all the time. I have the DVDs.
The only thing I didn't like about the show, man, is the relationship.
Yeah, the relationship changed
between Beetlejuice and Delia. Yes, they're friends, and Beetlejuice is less creepy and predatory.
Yeah, he's less horny.
Which it makes it all the more worse because then, like, Lydia's like 10 years old in the show.
Yeah.
And it's like this 10-year-old is hanging out with this like 1,000-year-old ghost.
It's fine.
Weird.
It's fine.
It's weird.
It's fine for me. I don't mind.
It's weird.
I know, but I don't like to think about it. You know, I like the show. It's fun, and I love the opening. The opening to the show, the title sequence. I really like the title sequence.
Have you heard anything from the musical that they did on Broadway? So, sidebar, and then we'll wrap up, everyone. So the musical, Tim Burton was more of a consultant on. In the sets, they used a lot of his original
sketches and
stuff.
Got it.
But he pretty much just was like, yeah, that's good. And I've heard a couple of the songs, and the guy they have playing Beetlejuice is pretty decent, actually.
Is he in it more? Because, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he opens the thing. When we're done recording, I'll play a little snippet of the soundtrack.
Fine.
But anyway, so Jeremy, are you ready to wrap up?
I am. Yeah, man, Jack Frost is great, and
Jesus Christ,
I'm glad we got to talk about it.
Yes.
Is that not what we were talking about?
Jack Frost in 1988.
Yeah. Beetlejuice is amazing. I watch it every year, pretty much.
I even watch
Haley's
it when it's
Haley's not super into it.
Make her watch it 80 more times than she'll be into it.
Yeah. Sure.
They say more is better, right?
That's what they say. And I love it. The only other one that I think is closer to Mi Corazon in terms of Halloween films is The Addams Family. The Raul Julia.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Not Addams Family Reunion, where Raul Julia had passed away, and so they got a boy Tim Curry
Tim Curry.
to take over the role. I mean, look,
Daryl Hannah. No. Who is that? Who's Mortician in that one? Not Daryl. Maybe it is Daryl Hannah. Shit. I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
Angelica Houston didn't come back?
No.
Really? So she did 2 movies with Raul Julia, then when he passed away, she was like...
It's the closest you get to the series, which the series is amazing. Go watch the 60s series, 1964 to 1966. Go watch The Addams Family. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's streaming somewhere.
Probably. Yeah. But yeah, man, Beetlejuice is great. I knew you would dig it.
Yeah.
And yes, just like I mentioned in our Dark City episode, I rewashed the shirt.
Yay!
So I could wear it again.
Yay!
Which I love how this is the untainted version of the house.
Right.
Before the Dietzes
Add on to
bastardize it.
Yeah, they do. Love the house.
Yeah. I got a compliment on it because it doesn't say Beetlejuice anywhere on the shirt. You would
On
have
the
had,
back.
On the back it does. But if you're just looking at me, you would have to know the movie. And I got a compliment. So I was like, oh, Beetlejuice! Oh my god! I was like, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You also had a fucked up childhood, right?
Yeah, right.
Great.
I'm like, oh, neat.
But yeah, yeah, man. I knew it was time to do a Tim Burton movie, and what better way to start off with?
I agree.
With Beetlejuice.
I agree.
I probably will pick other ones later on, some that I really love, and some that I've been meaning to watch, like maybe later on Big Eyes. I've heard that's fantastic.
I haven't seen it.
With our boy Christoph Waltz.
And Amy Adams.
Yeah. So Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
What are we talking about next week?
So
even though I know what we're talking about next week.
So we're definitely not just going to change shirts and do this back to back. So don't think that. That's not what we're going to do.
Stop thinking
Yeah,
that.
stop thinking that.
Roger.
Next week, for you, our audience, we will be discussing, and this is the first time we've done this, doing a movie that's so new.
Well, no. We did Parasite.
Oh, that's true.
So this will be the second time.
Okay, second time. You're right, because we did Parasite.
We've done a movie that has just recently left theaters.
Yeah. Guys, we are going to be discussing David Lowery.